Now, a lot of people, I think, have mistakenly believed that because you and Barbarian, when you were teamed together, were very much in the same mold as Hawk and Animal, which is easy to see, both, all four of you huge guys, dominant, that kind of thing. But a lot of people have written in and asked if, and I'll use this as an example, what did Hawk and Animal say to you and Barb about the Powers of Pain gimmick in the locker room? Were they okay with it, and what were their thoughts on it? Thanks for the memories.
Yeah, actually, Animal and Hawk blessed us. They blessed us with doing it. They wanted us to do it because they had nobody to work with and no one bigger and stronger than them to actually make them true baby faces. They were bigger than everybody. And, when you're a bigger baby face, it's hard to sell for a smaller person. Where you get two big guys and, they're huge. They're all muscle. They can move around like you and that stuff. It can make you easy to sell. And they're able to sell, finally be true, being true baby face. And that's what they wanted. But, knowing for a long time, they actually helped us come up with the name Powers of Pain also.
Really?
They sat with us one night and we got to come up with a name for you guys. You guys need a name for your tag team. And we all kind of just started coming around with names, and Powers of Pain came out. And it was a good name.
See, a lot of people are assuming the opposite, like you were so similar that maybe there was some sort of, I don't know, like a clash of similarities in that sense. But I didn't realise that Hawk and Animal yearned to be the smaller of the guys.
Yeah, they were. If you look at next to us and that stuff, Barb and me were massive at that time. I mean, I went about between 330, 340. Barb was 315. Animal was about 305. Hawk was probably about 280 at that time, I believe, maybe right around that. So yeah, we were bigger than them in that stuff. And we were stronger in that too.
Just before we get off SummerSlam 92, there's one more story that's sort of like shrouded in lore. Where did Road Warrior Hawk disappear to after that event?
The Hells Angels bar, the Hells Angels club. Him and Nord.
And
then they quit after that. They were at Raw and they called the Hells Angels bar in London and said, "We quit." Him and Nord, John Nord. They're both, from Minnesota together. They both know each other for years, and yeah, that's I'm sure that's when it happened. That was the time it happened. Is that what you heard?
Well, but I've heard two things, right? So the one is that he went sort of stir crazy when they gave him, that ventriloquist dummy to like be a mascot for their team.
Yeah,
and just like Hawk, it just like bent his head. He hated it. And then the second one,
that was after SummerSlam though. They wrestled for the belts. They wrestled Typhoon in them. So this was 92 when he went off with the Hells Angels. That's when he quit after that.
Yeah. He drove a motorcycle down. So the other story is he drove a motorcycle down, him, Ellering, Animal, and he hadn't realised for one reason or another is that his leg was like on the exhaust or something like that, and he burnt his leg like all completely up, and then he still wrestled because he had no idea.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did the same thing when Hulk and them took us when we were in Sturgis and took us out to Deadwood and told us we didn't need no shorts or anything. It was freezing, and I burned my leg on that pipe too, and I still got the mark from it. And it's a nasty burn. You don't really know till after, especially when you're pumped up and you're going out to wrestle in front of 94,000. I'm sure Hawk was just thinking about the match and thinking about wrestling. And you don't really know till after, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, they came out on cycles, and I'm pretty sure that was the time him and Nord went to the Hells Angels clubhouse, and that's where they were. That's where they called Vince from,
Right. I've
classic. Hawk would always say, you'd ask him what he's doing, he would say, "Anything I want." I said, "Okay, Hawk."
Do you know what? With Hawk, I don't think he gets enough credit for being a really creative dude as well, because he's come up with a couple of pretty timely.
His interviews were awesome.
Yeah,
and even in his wrestling, he was good. Now Joe, I love him to death, but I always had Joe, so it was okay. I'm gonna press slam you into the third road, and I'm gonna come out and press slam you and throw you back in the ring, and then I'm gonna go power slam you here, and then I'm gonna power this and power that. Okay, Joe, whatever you want to do. And Sag was always with Hawk with his spot, so Sag had it a little bit easier because Hawk, would work with you, and the heat was always usually on Hawk. Hawk always missed and hit the corner. That was his major spot. The guy moved and then he hit the corner and they go all the way through. He was good at that spot.
Hawk, take me straight from the beginning. What the source of friction was between you two guys?
Friction basically was he was buddies with Flair. And he thought that he was going to take up for Flair because I said, oh, fuck that pussy. Let that pussy ride by himself, talking about Flair. And Hawk thought that he would step up for him and protect him and says, what did you say? And so I had to repeat myself. And I don't know. And then I turned around and I can repeat myself and says, I don't know. Was it the pussy or the F that you didn't understand? And after that, he said the N word. Next thing you know, I was whooping his ass. So, it is what it is. And we was over on a peace treaty thing. It wasn't like if I was trying to or nothing, but you ain't going to disrespect me and think that I ain't going to whoop your ass or we ain't going to get into a fight. Win, lose, or draw, you're going to know your ass was going to fight one way or the other. So,
You did a fantastic job censoring yourself where you needed to as well, So take me into the actual fight itself. So Hawk is taken up for Flair. You respond, defend yourself. Who threw the first punch?
He walks back to me. He throws a punch at me and stuff. I duck it, boom. I tag him about 3 times, right on the bus and stuff. And all of a sudden, he steps back. I step back. I rip open my shirt. I jump back in my chest. I'm wearing a suit, a tie. So it's like. But, I'm kind of constricted because I know what I can do if I ain't got my suit up. My dad was a professional boxer. I'm a Golden Glove boxer, did kickboxing, so forth. So I have some skills in my background. I know how to protect myself. So like I say, once I tapped him 2 or 3 times, Japanese boys jumped on me. They kind of held me back. He swung again. He missed, fell down in the seat. He kind of got up on top of me, was trying to throw punches. Hit nothing but air, as I rope-a-dope around him, thanks to Muhammad Ali. Anyways, shit, I got up back up on top of him. I was beating down. I reached in, went in and started pulling his eye, man, and I hooked it, and I was on my way out. I was going to pull his eye out and feed it to him. Shit, I'm where I come from. If you're hungry and you want something, I'm going to give you stuff. So, I was going after his eye, and the Japanese boys grabbed me, and his eyes coming out, and he started to bleed down his eye and stuff like that. They pulled me back and kind of separated us a little bit, and he said something else, and I went back and threw a straight right kick down the bus and kicked him right in the face and jumped on him again, man. They pulled me off of it and stuff. So that was that. After that, man, I realized that we was on a peace treaty thing in the middle of the bus, in the middle of the street, and I'm whooping this motherfucker ass. But yeah, we're both from America and shit. We're supposed to be over on a peace treaty. Supposedly, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, that's why they don't let Americans and Japanese in their damn country because they don't know how to act and shit. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I had to whoop his ass and shit. We get to the site. We got to go to this 5-year-old, 500-year-old temple site, to go see one of the famous kings, dad, uncle, somebody that passed. So as we're making our way to the temple, I, apologize to everybody on the bus, man. Trained Japanese style, realizing I fucked up. So I apologize to everybody. I say, I'm sorry. And I get up to Hawk and I said, yo, bro, I'm sorry, man. This ain't the place for this. And he's like, fuck you. We get back to Japan, man, we got to do this. I was like, cool. We get back to Japan. I'm going to beat your ass, good. This was just a taste of what you got to get. You know what I'm saying? So, and then, as we're talking, he's like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. He takes 2 steps in front of me. He turns and throws a punch as hard as he can, hits me in the face. And I'm like, man, my sister hits harder than that. So I went after him and shit. You know what I'm saying? So I was going to beat his ass again. And after that, the Japanese boys got in front of us and we never really ever had a chance to finish that. You know what I mean? And I thought I was going to get the opportunity to finish it down there in WCW when me, Undertaker, and him was in the locker room. But he said something smart about, hey, Scorpio could take a punch. And I said, hey, Hawk, if everybody don't know about it, they don't need to know about it unless you want to get some more. And that's when Undertaker was like, nah, it's going to be cool. It ain't even worth it. You know what I'm saying? So we all good.
Where did the shiv come from?
The shift came from after the first night and shit. After the shit went down, the fight went down. I'm thinking, shit, this motherfucker's gonna come back at me. And where I come from, you ain't gonna catch me barehanded without a weapon. I can make a weapon out of almost any goddamn thing. I'm always gonna have a weapon. Don't think that you're gonna catch me empty-handed and sleeping. So we went to dinner. Fancy dinner, stainless steel chopsticks. They had the bulletproof box upstairs where his father sat and, watched the show and stuff like that. And it just happened so that next to me was an empty spot and had a pair of extra chopsticks. So even with my chopsticks, I would eat with one, drop one, pick it up, slide it in my pocket, take one from the other side, move it over, drop the other one, pick it up, slide in my pocket. Being the thief I be, wasn't trying to steal shit, but I needed a weapon. So, I realized they were stainless steel. So when I got them back to the hotel, I had opened up the window and that old concrete, seal, and I just started sharpening them down a little bit more on that concrete, end up taping them together and putting a handle on it where I can hold it, and shit. Walked around with it for the next couple of days, just in case, you want to get out of hand. And talking to Black Cat, he kept saying, please don't, please don't. He goes, if you kill him over here, if you stab and kill him over here, I'm probably would have still been in North Korea right now to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Most
So if it wasn't from him, I probably would have done him over there. And then by the time we got to Japan, and he had already had kissed and made up. So by that time, we was all good, by the time we got to Japan. But I didn't trust him after that.
The Road Warriors. Did you ever wrestle the Road Warriors?
They used to put me a lot on TV with them, and it always beat the other guy. I knew what they wanted, and I could do all their stuff. And I told Hawk, I said, hey, I can get you guys shit over. And as long as they don't beat me, they beat my partner. They'd always let me take a powder and powder out. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So they had a good time. All right, we're with Rip. We can do all of our shit, right? So it's sort of funny, but hey, you learn survival skills, right?
Yeah.
Give your audience a little more backstory on Animal. So I recruited him out of Irondale High School, New Brighton, Minnesota, to play college football with me. That was my first introduction was his accolades in the Minneapolis Star and Tribune newspaper, and I was a part of the recruiting team. And so I contacted him. Him and his mom and dad came and toured the college campus. And he signed on, and we just clicked. I mean, we had an instant connection there. We became the best of friends all through college, and I would go on to finish college, to graduate, and have my sights on playing pro football. He actually ended up dropping out of college, got married, got a job, and the next thing I know, he's on TBS on the Superstation. But we did have some fun together during those college days. I mean, we thought we were pretty boys, man. I end up with a shaved head. He ends up with a mohawk or whatever. And back in those days, though, if you've seen the old pictures, like I actually have a couple of them I just updated my latest book. It's my life story, A Tale of the Ring of Redemption. And there's a picture of him and I in there with tuxedos and feathered hair. We thought we were such pretty boys, And then, ironically, we ended up with a shaved head and a mohawk. But I can remember back. I mean, we had so much fun on the gridiron, on the football field, and just some amazing stories there. Some things that we did, and then once I heard he got into wrestling, I went down and lived with him in Atlanta for a couple months, and just I just shadowed him, and just I was training for pro football. But it was fun to go to the arenas and hear some of the stories. He was living with Jake the Snake Roberts at the time.
God.
And then eventually when he called me, so it kind of turnabout's fair play, right? He calls me to recruit me into wrestling. And then we begin to have, a lot of people ask, how, being best friends, how are you able to have matches together, against each other without cracking up, but it's a mindset, right? You're like, this is my opponent, so you got to act like you don't know the guy, you hate the guy, right? One of the funnest memories for me, I say funnest, one of the most memorable, they did this deal where they were press slam guys, and he was strong. You asking about my strength. I don't know how many know what a seated shoulder press is. I'm talking behind the neck, old school Olympic bar, behind the neck shoulder press. I mean, he used to do that movement with 365 pounds for reps. I mean, most guys can't even bench press that, let alone sit down and press that behind your neck for reps. He was strong. And he caught me off guard one night. He caught me unattended, and he press slammed me, and he's giggling while he's holding me up, like, gotcha. Because I told him he'd never do it. I'm like, dude, you would never get me up for a press slam. So I just went like Superman. Normally you kind of put your hands on their shoulder to steady yourself. Man, I just put my arms out like Superman. I'm like, all right, big boy, I'm gonna let you really impress the crowd. Well, he didn't have a problem with it. And then when he slammed me down, he kind of looked at me, winked and giggled. I go, all right, one time, but you're not getting me again. You will not get me again. But and then we had some great, just wonderful road trips. Him and I, here's who actually traveled together. Him and I, Sting and Lex Luger. The four of us traveled exclusively at one period of our careers together, the same car. We'd share hotel rooms and again, but yeah, just so much fun. Animal was we had such a great relationship with each other.
Were you ever as close with Hawk?
I was not in the wrestling days. I would later kind of the story on Hawk is we didn't really see eye to eye. I mean, it's pretty out there, what his lifestyle was like back in those wrestling days. A lot of abuse to his body and et cetera through drugs and other things. And then actually in Phoenix, Arizona, a year and a half before he passed, I'd invited him and Animal to, I invited Animal invited him, and he came to a Christian conference in Phoenix, Arizona, and a pastor named Jensen Franklin was speaking, and Hawk actually responded. It came down to the altar, gave his life to the Lord. We baptized him in the pool that weekend. And then I brought him on the road with me for a year and a half, mentoring him, sharing his story. He had an unbelievable story. I had no idea. They almost died 9 different times. And I would have him share that story. So the last year, a year and a half of his life, we actually became probably closer than Animal and I were. So it was a real story of redemption and story of life transformation with Hawk.
Do you feel you're cast aside for the Legion of Doom?
Yes. Yeah, I think that Vince, and it's not only in our situation. At that time, the powers that be, and the power that be was Vince, was never satisfied. I mean, he wasn't satisfied with Hogan. He wasn't satisfied with Savage. He wasn't satisfied with Demolition. He wasn't satisfied, a number of people. So we don't take it as a vicious strike against us. But I do think that we were well received by the fans. And I always equate it, there's millions and billions of Chinese. And there's some Demolition Chinese fans. There's some LOD Chinese fans. And there's some Chinese fans that don't give a shit about either team. So, yeah, I mean, they had their following. We had our following. It's just nice to be compared because they were good friends of ours, closer to Barry than I, but I knew both of them when they first started. I was in Georgia when they both came in, and they were both greener than grass. And they wanted to learn. And throughout all of our careers, we crossed paths in Japan and in different territories. And I think when they were interviewed, they never held anything against us, and we certainly didn't against them. So it's just nice to be compared. And when we're compared with all kind of teams like the Rougeaus or the Dudleys or the Bulldogs or Strike Force or Arn and Tully, it's just nice to be compared. It's nice to be in that group. Nice to be remembered. Good company.
I think you said in an interview prior that I've seen that you, when the Legion of Doom come in, you're paired together right away, pretty much.
Yeah. Too quick.
Exactly. Well, that's sort of what I was getting at. How would you have booked it differently? Was it something that should have been built up, for months on end, the two strongest teams in the WWF kind of thing?
Well, I think it's they had mentioned it years ago as well. You got Demolition and you got Legion of Doom, Road Wars. They changed the name Legion of Doom. There again, probably for marketing rights and so forth like this. It should have been at least 6 months, 8 months, probably a year. We could have been battling teams. They could have been battling teams and anticipate. At least could have gone from one WrestleMania to the next WrestleMania. And it didn't. They threw it together. And I used to equate it to where they had Flair finally came in to WWF against Hogan. They threw that together right away. And once the ketchup's out of the bottle, you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. And once the ketchup's out of the bottle, plop, it's out. You can't push it back in. So we could have waited a lot longer. And Barry says the same thing. I know that Joe said the same thing years later. Yeah, it was too fast, too quick. But there again, somebody says, well, all this is going to be great. It wasn't great. We didn't have good chemistry in our matches. It wasn't anything against them. We just didn't have good chemistry. For some reason, they felt that they had to be a little stronger than us. And we didn't feel that way. We felt, well, hell, if Andre could sell, anybody can sell. Mm-hmm. You got to get the people behind you. If Andre's there and the Mass Superstar is beating the crap out of him, and the people saying, come on, Andre, come on, Andre, come on, Andre. And all of a sudden he's getting up. We're controlling the fans. But if I'm going against Andre and everything I do to him, boom, boom, boom. Come on, let's finish this match. It's boring. Follow me?
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
So they were what, like 8 years or something like that as a team by the time they got to you in the WWF. Did they ever fully grasp that end of the business in the sense of, you've got to be in peril at some point to get the fans behind you? Or did they just always think that the best way to go was just run through?
I couldn't speak for that. I think they were successful with what they were doing. They were successful all over the world. They were getting paid great. It's not that they couldn't work, I don't know. I mean, you unfortunately can't ask them. So
with the Road Warriors, I've heard from Demolition that they said that when they feuded with the Road Warriors, it was more difficult because they were so similar. They were all four of them big guys. They never backed down, that kind of thing. Did you find the same thing when the Powers of Pain went against Road Warriors?
To be honest with you, James, no. I think it was a little, easier for us because different reaction, great reaction with our Demolition, because they brought us as a big guys to work the Demolition. Demolition was as a tag team, they ruled WWF. So they bring two guys to, see if, give them a competition. But no, I didn't see no different, I see no different, yeah.
Yeah. Did you learn anything? Actually, here's a question for you. Because the Road Warriors came first as the two huge muscle-bound guys. At first, did they look at you and Warlord and think there was a bit of like gimmick infringement kind of thing? Or were you friendly straight away?
Warlord is from Minnesota. He's really good. He's really good friend with the Animal, and I don't believe they look at us to. I don't believe they what do you call it? Intimidate them. Because they know Terry and they know me a little bit back then, and that's why they were willing to help us and working with us. And Hawk and Mike and Joe talked to us they talked to us before we did it and go see if we like it. We like the idea. I said, guys, whatever you guys want to do, whatever works, okay with us. And that's how we went ahead and did, and it went well. Yeah, draw and make them more money, make us a little bit money, because they are the team to beat.
I know they were paid very well. They were paid very well, weren't they?
Oh, believe me, I was there. Yeah, they pay really well, and they used to have what do you call it? They used to have the gym, and they have the the bands, Zumba. Yeah, they owned it. Yeah. Oh, they made a killing. We just happy to be part, and I was glad, they were willing and they liked us to work the program.
Did they get you any free Zubaz pants?
Yes. They give Taylor a punch, and they give me a punch. Yes, sir.
Was my original then?
That was the first time you wrestled the Road Warriors was in Memphis, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't a struggle. It was a change. And the reason it was a change is because they were young and inexperienced. And I mean, they had this concept in their mind of what they were, and didn't matter what anybody else was. They were going to get their gimmick over and do it, which was understandable. But they came to a territory where Stan and I were the guys. I mean, we were the people, we were the tag team that was on the top of the ladder at the time. And, it was a combination of us and them meeting first time. And, working with them, it took me a second to figure them out. But they weren't they weren't the first big guys that I'd worked with that didn't really sell that well. I was used to that. I mean, and so I had tricks, and it was an experienced veteran working with guys less experienced and knowing how to handle it. And like when I took Hawk's arm the first time and twisted it, he just looked down his arm at me and stuck his tongue out. And I'm going, well, I guess that's not working. So I figured it out and take them down, take their leg. And once you get them on the ground, it's hard to get up, and you just keep them down there, and then you'll get your baby face, whatever, over. And then when it's time for the heat, just sell for them and make a comeback and move them around. But I didn't have any problem with them that night. The very first time, we got along okay. We did have to make some adjustments, Stan and I, from what we had been doing, more entertainment style wrestling in Tennessee, to get a little bit more serious with them, more grappling and a little bit more, slug fist kind of stuff, but just going toe to toe with them and things. And, it's just like, it took some adapt. It wasn't until later on in the AWA, I had my first kind of like, difference with them that kind of caught me off guard, but I turned it around and it ended up being better than what was planned. And then in Puerto Rico, it happened again, and kind of had to really dig deep to outsmart them this time, but it worked out all right. And so they got over it. It was always Hawk. It wasn't Joe. Joe was easy to get along with, but Hawk was kind of a hothead, and he had this misconception of what he was doing sometimes. And even when we didn't seem like we were getting along, we still respected each other. And after he'd cool off, like sometimes it took a couple months for him to cool off, but after he'd cool off, he'd start laughing about it. And he put me over. He said, well, you're smarter than most guys I work with. He said, usually just manhandle them and they just get over it. But you have a way of working me. You're nice to me in the dressing room. And then when you get me out there, you'll take me to school. And I go, it's not purposely. It's that I know you're not being a businessman. And here's the deal. This is not real. This is predetermined. We're doing the best we can to emulate a fight, but neither one of us is really trying to hurt each other. But I need to look good too. And I'm not going to let you just dominate me. And so he respected me for that, but he always threatened me.
Did you ever get a win over the Road Warriors? Yeah,
several times in the AWA. And the reason was is we were building things. Well, we were supposed to get a win the first night, but they came to the ring and said they weren't doing it. And so, I'm going like, what? Anyway, that was a mistake. I'm saying what when he's going, we're not doing what Vern Gagne wants. We're doing it our way and nobody gets hurt. And I'm looking at what? And I didn't mean what like a smart aleck. Like I meant like what? I'd never heard this before. The next thing I know, I was fighting for my life. But, it worked out all right. I outsmarted them. And the finish was supposed to be Stan and I would do a notorious switch of talent on a double knockdown. Somebody go down, other guy go down. Heel comes in to feed. Referee's putting the heel out. I'd slide Stan out or he'd slide me out, roll in like he was me or I was him. And when the guy come to pick us up, we just inside cradle 1, 2, 3 real quick and roll out like a steal it. But, didn't want to do that. And so that would have gotten us over pretty good. But the way we did it and the way it ended up, I mean, I just got to a point where I was frustrated because he was just wanted heat on me. And I spent enough time over his head that day to get a pilot's license and press slam. And I said, it's like, okay, I tagged Stan and let Stan have a little bit of a comeback and then tried to ground him. And then I just said, you know what? We need to get this over with. And I rolled out, grabbed a chair, and I came in shooting with a chair. And I mean, I wasn't going to let nobody take the chair away. And I was really hitting him. And Paul Ellering's going, get out. And he's going, nah, he wanted to kill me. But I was pretty stiff with the chair. And I was pretty stout at the time, too. So I was letting him hold him. and the crowd popped unreal. It was almost like it was better than any other way it could have happened because it looked like we'd just gotten beat to the point where we weren't going to take it anymore. And we stood up and just went fighting them as best we could and ended up running them off. And so I said, that worked out good, but I don't ever want to get back in the ring with them.
I don't blame you. Who came up to you with that big story between you and the Road Warriors and the bench press and then the turning and all that kind of thing? Whose idea was it?
It was actually the if I remember, I think it was The Office. It was probably, I'm sure Animal had something to do with it. I'm sure it did. I really don't know, but it was something because what had truly happened before that is we were having some matches and it was up in the Chicago area. I believe it was Gary, Indiana, if I remember right. And I had done this move many, many, many times, a lot of people, but never somebody as big as Animal. And I put him over my shoulders up there, walked around with him. I did this move where I kicked my feet out and come back on him. And somewhere or another, I guess our size and just the power coming down, the back of my shoulder blade hit him in the eye and it cracked his orbital bone in his eye. And when I knew something happened right because I could see he was hurt. So we got him out of the ring right away and finished the match. And went him back, and when he went to just blow his nose real quick, his eyeball started shooting out.
Oh no!
And that's how we knew that the orbital was broken. And so what we did is he was going to get surgery, but right before the surgery, someone came up with the idea of the bench press contest, and it was a good thing because they could do that when we did the gimmick where we took him through I threw his head into the plates and worked it that he was carted off on a stretcher. And then they show the surgery. So it worked right into a great angle right there. Everything just kind of worked out that, which not a good way to have it work out, but it worked out that way.
Did you wrestle the Road Warriors in the WWF as well?
No.
How come you and Hawk and Animal never had a big, long program in the NWA? Because that was tailor-made.
Right. I don't know why we never did it, but Hawk was one of my friends. He was one of my best friends.
Did you travel together?
Oh yeah, we had many times.
Yeah. Did you hit the gym with Hawk by any chance?
No.
No.
No, he'd pick up the gym. I'd just lay it down.
No.
We were in a place one night in Ohio. Me and Ricky, usually after every show, we'd go to some bar and we'd find a pool table and we'd shoot pool all night. We was in this one bar, we were shooting pool, and
we were gambling, and I started winning a lot of money. And I'm in their town, their bar, and now the people are getting tighter and tighter to the bar. I mean, to the pool table. And I looked at Ricky; he's got the pool stick ready to use the pool stick, right? And I was $200 or $300 ahead on the pool game. Finally, the guy that I was playing, he goes, "Rules have changed." I said, "What do you mean rules have changed?" He said, "The winner's got a rack." I said, "Well, I didn't come here to rack." I said, "If you want to play, keep playing, we'll play." But I said, "I'm not racking." So he racked him up anyway, and you could feel the people were getting closer. And out of nowhere, you heard somebody go, "What a rush!" Turn around, it was Road Warriors. And all these people just spread it back, And Hawk said, "Come give me a hug." He says, "I knew your ass needed me tonight." So thank God he saved us.
Were you ever close with Joe or Paul Ellering as well, or was it just Hawk?
Yeah, all three. Mostly Hawk and Paul.
The Road Warriors. And you and Robert, I mean, sort of, tailor-made opponents for the Road Warriors, really. But didn't you only wrestle him in WWF, or am I misremembering this?
No. We wrestled him for Bill Watts. Bill Watts brought him in. Okay, now you got to understand. Here we are. Me and Robert, the top baby faces. This is our territory. They're bringing the Road Warriors in. They've been known to beat people up and all the thing. I got my fellas worked up. If I'm going to get an ass whooping, I'm going to be a man about it and take it. I ain't taking no shit off of them. You hear me? So, and we're like it's a 4 tag team match. We're in Superdome, bro. And I never forget this. Terry Gordy and Animal Joe, they started the match up, buddy. And they beat the living fuck out of each other, laying them in hard and hard and hard. And Terry Gordy comes over and tags me. Oh, my fucking God. I didn't know. I come right in the ring, see, and me being the fucking idiot that I am, I didn't realize these guys knew how to work. I went right in. He grabs me, throws me against the ropes. He just ducked the clothesline and hit me with a drop kick, and hit Mike with hit
Animal.
Mike.
Hawk or Animal.
Hawk with a drop kick. And I went, oh, fuck. So he shot it. I duck it. I hit him with the drop kick. He goes over the fucking top rope. Hawk feeds in. I hit him with the drop kick, and he goes over the top rope. They're out on the floor. There's 40,000 people in the Superdome screaming and hollering. I'm thinking to myself, what a dumbass I am. What a dumbass I am. These guys know how to work if they want to. Bill Watts must have paid them a lot of money because, boy, they were flying all over the fucking place for me. So, we beat. Go ahead.
I was actually going to say, how long did it take for them to get the business and sort of lighten up? Because, in their first year or two, they had the reputation of being the stiffest. They would kill people. Almost.
Okay. Never.
Really?
Well, it's just going on, bro.
So, James, once before the demolition, we were driving down the road. I was with Fuji one day. I said, "You ever, the Atlanta TV? You see these Road Warrior guys on TV?" I said, "They're over." I said, these guys are hot.
Oh, yeah.
Two big guys, muscular, and I said, there's plenty of room for, another, group like, a tag team like that up here. And then he went to Vince, but then the demolition was born off of that. So that's, because I said, boy, the Road Warriors, they're over so strong on TV. I was thinking somebody else, would, you come up with.
Well, when they came up to WWF, it was like I didn't get over like they did down in WCW. I mean, they already had demolition up there. So it kind of took away from that,
Yeah, it was the same gimmick, yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of hurt them. I mean, they got over, but it kind of hurt their big
entrance up there, the Road Warriors, because Demolition was a spinoff from the Road Warriors. That's what it seemed like to me. You know?
Oh, the Road Warriors, they were fierce. They were scary. They were insane. Their finish, I always feared. I didn't like to take it because I felt I was.
Did
Did
you ever take it? Did you ever take it?
Yes. But I felt like I was going to break my neck if I landed wrong, and I was hesitant to taking it. Like a couple of times, I would tell the Road Warriors, I don't mind wrestling you, but I don't want to take the finish. You know, but I completely thought that they were dominated the whole company at the time. When they came in, they were like human wrecking machines. And a year before Animal died, I did a road trip with him, and he was driving. And I remember he was texting, and you ever see on the side of the highways? I don't know how it is in England, but they have these steel trucks where they were doing work, and it's like a barricade. They have the lane barricade, and an Animal is texting, and he's heading right for this thing, doing about 70 miles an hour. And I said, Joe, you're gonna hit it. And he makes a quick turn, and he gets out of the way, and he goes, oh my God. He texts his wife. He goes, Steve Lombardi just saved my life. We would have been killed. We almost got killed. And then I hear a year later, Animal died. I said, holy shit. I says, we almost got killed together the year before. Then a year later, he dies. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The stories go on and on and on and on. They never end.
With doing the weightlifting, now there's a very, very famous interaction with you and Warlord versus the Road Warriors, where you did the bench press competition, and then you guys attacked the Road Warriors. Were the weights there real, or were they weren't gimmick weights, were they?
No gimmick weight. No gimmick weight. We did that in the front of the Coliseum, Prince Paul, I believe. No gimmick weight, and we had to cheat it, James, because we don't want to be in Paris. No, Animal was strong. Animal was strong, and I love those guys. Oh, I love those guys to death. They help us in our career. And we did that angle with our bench press, and so we had to work that angle to cheat it, as a heel, and we attacked it. Yeah, it went well. Yeah. We did good with that angle.
I saw an interview with JJ Dillon, and he said that I can't remember if it was Hawk or Animal ended up getting legitimately a broken eye socket, a broken orbital socket. Was that true?
Yeah, it is. I was not there. I was off, and Terry was working a single with a Road Warrior, because try to building for the bench press in Brooklyn, and he gave me a side suplex, and I think I don't know, elbow maybe or something. He's a crack his eye. What do you call it? His eye socket.
Yeah. His orbital bone.
Yeah, and that's why he wore. And Joe was so strong. It just did it like a couple of days before the bench press. A couple of days before, man. And that's where he wore the mask, the spider mask. And that's what happened.
And then we brought the Road Warriors in, right? Now, they never gone over, I said, 5 minutes or 3 minutes. And Paul Ellering comes around, and I says, well, I told Paul, you guys got to be the baby face. He said, we've never been baby faces. We're heels, and we've been on nationwide TV for the last a year. You know what I mean? They've been getting pushed by Oli on that. And I says, well, you'll soon see. He says, I don't think so. So when they came out from the crowd, we came out and everyone was throwing stuff at us because I was a booker there. We were hot. And they come out and the people fucking come unglued. Two big guys with all the, how impressive. When they walk out, they're impressive, right? Match starts. Butcher me to work like 2 foot bulls. Tag. Especially with big guys. One of them would start coming back on us, and then it would take the bump down and grab his foot and tag Butch, and then I'd hold his foot so Butch would go up in the second rope, come off with the clothes on his head to take him down. We double teamed all the time. They weren't used to a tag team being like that. 4 minutes into the match, now the towns we were running Fritz was running half of those towns too. He was out of Dallas and we were out of San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in Waco, Texas, the town that the big, the preacher had all the thing that they did, and the FBI come in, and they in the end they had to shoot them all. Remember that big thing?
Waco, Texas. Yeah. Not Jeff Jones. David Koresh.
Boy, you know your history, right? Anyhow, this is that town, and fucking anyhow, 4 minutes the man. Hawk goes over the road. Fritz is running the same town. Hawk goes over the road and pukes out into the crowd. The kid in the front row says, "Look, Dad, just like Kabuki," because Kabuki let out the green mist. He says, "Just like the Kabuki, Dad, but this has got chunks in it." The puke had food, chunks in it. And then we got all that on tape. That was unreal. That was the Road Warriors, the story with the Road Warriors. And then after that, and Butch said two in the corner, and we're beating them up and holding them. And he says, "Sweet mate," sweet mate, that means everything good, everything good. He thought with sweet, you're a sweet guy.
Oh, God,
you know what I mean? Fucking Hawk was in the corner. That elbow came back. We're holding him from behind, and one guy's in the ring. That elbow came back. That fist came in. Bang. He went out of that corner like a rocket in shoot mode. You know what I mean by shoot mode?
Yeah.
Fucking for real. And that we had explained to him afterwards. Now, Hawk, that was 1983, 84. Fucking 90s. And that when Hawk came into WWF in the 90s as the
Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom, because Vince had to change the name because of royalties. And then Hulk came down for a holiday because Hulk, me, Beefcake, we all lived on the beach down there. And then he came down for a holiday. And he came to my place. My place I lived on the beach, and condominium. There was five stories. There's two on each story, and 3 rooms in each condo looked over the Gulf of Mexico and the Intercoastal. The water, the strip of land there was only 100 yards wide. In storms, the water used to come underneath from the Gulf and go over into the Intercoastal, the waves. How's that?
Yeah.
Hawk come down for a holiday. Fucking next minute he moved down there. And I had Hawk and Beefcake at my home, in WWF when we were off, it was 3 days a month. But then later on in 97, 96 when I finished, and Hawk had did that thing on that big Talkatron or the Teletron, all the screens, and they did that thing when he walked up to the top, he was going to jump off. Vince let him go. And only so many shows a year that he was at my home 5 days a week. And now Mike became a very close friend of mine. He was there every day. And now he was off making $7,000 a week. You know what I mean? $350. I think they're making $350 a year then.
Yeah.
This was before the big money. He was still with WWF. You know what I mean? Maybe more than that. $7,000 a week. 3 of those grand, 3,000 of that went on drugs a week.
Crikey. Just on.
If I tell you what
pills.
he took every day, and we opened, I shouldn't say it, but Mike was a great friend, but if I could, he was getting. Do you want me to tell you what he was taking, or we forget about
no,
that?
It's entirely up to you.
No man could take what he was taking. Hawk started at 10 o'clock in the morning. He may have started before the gym, smoked a doobie. But during the day, it went from that GHB, the powder GHB or the liquid, whatever it was, and then it went to pills, and then the end of the night, and in the grass all day, somas, and hence he died young.
You go through the last Battle of Atlanta with Buzz Sawyer. It's a 2-year feud. Then you start tagging with Buzz for a short while, and you have the distinct pleasure of wrestling a very green pair of Road Warriors. What do you remember of Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors?
They're beating the shit out of me. You know, they were Ole fell, you know, he was from Minnesota. They were bouncers. They were bouncers in a bar in Minnesota. And he didn't work out with them none because all he wanted to do was beat the hell out of people, you know, clothesline, just bully stuff. Lord have mercy. But I tell you what, they sure learned how to work and become one of the you know, top tag teams, you know. But when they first started, they'd say, you got to wrestle the Road Warriors. I'd say, oh, I don't think I feel good. He'd say, you still wrestling. So, but as they learned, and they wanted to learn. They liked that bullying stuff. And which only wanted them to be rugged anyway. He wanted them to knock the shit out of you. And but they learned, once they learned how to work, they was as good as anybody in the business.
Did you ever wrestle them in the later 80s when you've got like a comparison of you know, early to late 80s Road Warriors and how much they improved?
I'll give you a good story about my good friend Jim Crockett. He's doing a big show up there, and it's me and Jerry Lawler versus the Road Warriors. And Jim Crockett didn't like me because I told Mr. Barnett I won't work for him because he paid me $150. You hear me, Jim? Anyway, I hope you're in Manchester near this. So anyway, Crockett told the Road Warriors to make Jerry Lawler look like, you know, Hulk Hogan or somebody, and to beat the shit out of me. The Road Warriors was my friend. They used to beat the shit out of me, you know, and so we were like real good friends. They said, we ain't doing that. I don't remember what the finish was, but they beat the shit out of Lawler, and they beat me up a little bit too, but Lawler, he wasn't supposed to get beat on. He got his ass beat on too, you know.